I'm sorry. But I can't go with you. It's my friends. They need me. And I need them too.
Maybe you should take some time and think about it. Figure out who really needs you more. And where you belong.
How will I know where I belong? Truly. I'm not sure I can promise you I'll come up with the right answer.
Well, the answer you come up with can't just be right for you. It has to be one that works best for everybody. You and your friends and everyone else.
I'll try. Thank you, Riku.
The sunset is beautiful. I enjoy watching the sunset as the three of us. I have always wondered why it's so pretty. I had fun eating sea salt ice cream, talking about whatever came to mind, just the three of us. We also made a promise to go see the ocean together, right? Even though I was in a very dark place, it was a very gentle one. It makes sense though, since it was within Sora, right? But there was nothing there, and I don't know if I actually existed, because everyone forgot about me. Being forgotten is extremely painful, because it means you lose everything. But even now, I'm having ice cream with you two. It's because you guys did your best for me. I actually should not exist. I was just a doll. I can't believe that I'm able to be here right now, and laugh with you. I'm so thankful. Thank you guys. Thank you for remembering me. Thank you for never forgetting about me. I chose to disappear because I did not want to become what Xemnas had planned for me. Therefore, I had no regrets. I remember disappearing in front of the clock tower while Roxas held me. Roxas also went to sleep afterwards, leaving Axel alone. The person who probably suffered the most was Axel, because he's the one who forgot the most. Being forgotten and forgetting, they're both painful. I am a bit uncertain whether I should actually exist or not. I sometimes, even if for a fleeting moment, feel that I truly should not be here. But because you two are here with me, I'm okay. It's okay for me to be here. Even if time passes and we forget the things that happen, the fact that I am here right now will never change. So please never forget that, because I won't forget either.
What's in it?
It's a secret. And, well, you see, the thing is, you can never, ever open it.
Great, now I really want to know.
All right, I'll indulge you. But this secret stays between the two of us, and you have to promise never to open the box.
I promise.
Xigbar's story, The Fool. It was a long time ago. People all over the world lived peacefully, bathed in a warm light. But before they knew it, a battle broke out over the light. As a result, everything returned to nothing. However, it was so long ago that no one even knows how long ago it was. But maybe this story is happening in the present, or is it that distant past? Your face tells me that you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's alright, you don't need to understand it. Yet. It makes no difference to me. You know, it's the height of stupidity to judge a person based on appearances, right? Well, maybe the box is the same way. Is the black box really black? What kind of black is it? Even black at all? The simpletons are just looking for a regular black box. They don't understand what kind of box it is or what's in it. There's a major difference between knowing and understanding. So, the box. I guess you want to know how I ended up losing it, huh? What do you want to know? Well, I say that, but I've already said as much as I can about all that. You know, the stuff about knowing versus understanding and all that jazz. And of course, it's possible that the contents are a secret no one knows about. You could even say it's a surprise. You'll see. How about a thought experiment? Say you were told this world was ending tomorrow. Would you just give in and wait for the end? Or would you get all fired up to do something about it? Think back to the black box. What kind of black is it? No one knows. And the end of the world? How would you expect anyone to know how that pans out either? Think back to when the man called Xemnas originally opened the door to this world's Kingdom Hearts. When and where was that exactly? How long have you thought that the flow of time from then to now was continuous? Is time really continuous in the first place? Ah, now you look like you don't believe me. But how else would you explain it? And so, I've always watched over you guys, or rather rather watch over the Keyblade. I just played the part of a fool who wanted the power of the Keyblade for myself. This world is Olympus. The brave hero that Sora relies on for all his hero-related needs lives here. What constitutes a hero? Well, depending on what world you're in, or what time period you're asking, the answer differs. Kind of like how Keyblade wielders differ. So, what kind of Keyblade wielder are you, Sora? All this altruism is giving me the warm and fuzzies. So then, does having a heart of light come with an extremely good insurance policy? Just say what you mean, Sora glared at me. Oh, but I did though. No good will ever come from putting other people first. The hero beside him, Hercules, chimed in too. I was able to save Meg's life because I was ready to risk my own. Because you've got friends in high places, you mean? Tricks like that don't fly for your average Joe. I laughed scornfully at the two of them. What do you know? You weren't even there. If you were, you'd admire Herc's courage, Sora said, and his eyes were full of his usual light. He has good eyes. I've always thought so. I don't admire one guy leaping into danger if it means someone else might have to jump in to save him. You're all just lining up to lose out, dooming others to take the fall with you. How much of my true intent is getting through to you? If it doesn't reach you at all, I've got a problem. But come on, you could at least take some of it to heart. These kids and their heart-guided Keyblades, I've seen more than enough of you go down the path of self-sacrifice and it never ends well. Oh, and you can spare me the usual party line. Yes, hearts are powerful when they're connected, but if you put too much of that power in one place, some of those hearts might end up breaking. As usual, I just said what I wanted to say and then turned my back on him. Sigh, but what if it's still not enough? These Keyblade fools are stubborn bunches after all. Still, Sora, that doesn't mean you should change. Accept the power you're given. Find the hearts joined to yours. Although I've gotta say, it's not like I'm doing anything differently here. Connected hearts and guided hearts, the two hearts have some similarities, but they're different. Why would I ever take advice from you? As if you don't have any choice but to follow this sweet little trail of breadcrumbs. And at the end, you'll finally realize what destiny has in store for you. In fact, your reward might be right around the corner. You're so close. And with that, I disappeared from Sora's sight. That's right, it's just around the corner. I'm so close to my reunion, and with it, fulfilling my mission. May my heart be my guiding key. Sora's story, first journey. There isn't much time left. It's too late. I can't go back. But don't hurry. Don't be afraid. The door is still closed. Then I woke up from my dream. A blue sky, a blue sea, a white sandy beach. This is Destiny Islands, our home islands. After sitting up and letting out a big yawn, I flopped back down. That dream, what was that? I could feel my eyes starting to droop again, when suddenly, Kairi was staring at my face. Whoa! Surprised, my body swung back, up, and Kairi spun around. Don't startle me like that, Kairi. Why am I not surprised? I figured you'd be slacking off, Sora. I wasn't. A black thing swallowed me up. I couldn't breathe, I was frantically explaining. I didn't know whether or not I was explaining what happened in that dream clearly, but I hadn't been slacking off. Wait, had I been slacking off because I'd been sleeping? Are you still half asleep? It wasn't a dream, or maybe it was. You see, I was in this strange world. It was a really weird place and... Yeah, Kairi said in an exasperated way. She turned her back to me and started walking. Hey Kairi, what was the town you lived in when you were little like? I've said it before, I don't remember. At that time, the only thing I knew was that the town Kairi lived in when she was little wasn't Destiny Islands. And though I was told that there was a town, it seemed that she didn't remember anything about it in the slightest. I just thought you might have remembered something. Not a thing. I sit on the sandy beach, looking up at Kairi who's standing. Don't you want to go back? Well... I'm happy here. Kairi stares out at the ocean, her face unreadable. It doesn't look lonely or sad or even happy, but her face is expressing something. Kairi wears that expression often. But you know, I wouldn't mind going to see it. I'd like to see it too. Kairi looks back at me. I go on walking. If there really is another world outside of this one out there, then without a doubt, I want to see it before I die. Back then, that was my greatest desire, to see what that place that wasn't here, the town where Kairi was born. Then let's go together. When Kairi said this, Riku's voice called out. Aren't you forgetting someone? He's carrying a log under his arm. After all, seems I'm the only one serious about building this raft. I scrambled to catch the log Riku flings my way. Seeing that Kairi laughed, you were slacking off right along with him, weren't you, Kairi? I've been found out, Kairi laughed, arms open, shrugging her shoulders. Right then, you two, let's finish up. Race it there. What are you on about? Ready? Go! Despite Riku having just sat down next to me, Kairi signaled, go. Riku and I glanced at each other, stood up at nearly the exact same moment, and then took off running. We dashed straight through to the beach's inlet. Then it was evening. Kairi and I were sitting side by side on the paopu tree on the small island at the end of the pier. Riku was next to us, leaning up against it. The sun was sinking below the horizon. If we go out there beyond the sea, then the world that you came from will be out there too, right? I asked Kairi, but the answer came from Riku. I don't know, but we'll never know if we don't try. Riku was looking out the horizon as he said this. Then I asked Riku, because I honestly had no idea, how far do you think a raft can take us? Who knows, if it's a bust, we can just think of some other way. Even though Riku is just a year older than me, he and I are totally different. Say Riku, if you ever went to another world, what would you do there? This time it was Kairi asking him. She continued, are you like Sora? Will you be satisfied with just seeing it? To tell you the truth, I haven't really thought about it. I want to know why. Why we ended up here. If there is another world out there, then why did we have to end up here? Riku's words overlap with the sound of the waves. If there is another world out there, then here. Riku started to slowly speak. I think he was choosing his words carefully. This place, it's like it's a fragment of a bigger world. And if it is a fragment, then it doesn't matter if we're here on this fragment or another one, right? I don't get it. Listening to everything that's been said so far, I don't understand a lick of it. I flop down the tree branch, looking upward. That's it. Riku slowly starts walking. Even if we just sit here staring, we won't know anything. Unless we do something. Nothing will change. It'll just be the same old scenery. That's why we're doing something. Kairi looks up at the sky. I continue to lay there looking out at the sea. It's just as Riku said. Though the sunset was beautiful every day, it really never changed. And while there was the occasional stormy night, since the sky and the sea remain unchanged, I wanted to see a different world. Riku, you really do think about a lot of stuff, don't you? Kairi said quietly. It's all thanks to you, Kairi. Riku turns to her. Kairi, I think if you had never come to these islands, then I never would have thought of any of this. Thank you. Oh, you flatter me. Kairi laughs. I look at the two of them. We'll always be like this, shining bright under the setting sun. Yeah, everything would always be the same. Unchanging. It was in that spot that our journey started. We didn't want to be here anymore. We wanted to travel anywhere, to soon be off the islands and on a journey. But I felt the end of our journey would undoubtedly be at this spot too. And so our journey begins. Saix's story, Say What You Will. Nice title. Ultimately, what is a heart? What are friends? Is there any meaning to making connections with your heart? The fact that it's lovely to be here probably means that I've made a connection. Eating ice cream in this calm atmosphere by the usual sunset is lovely. What does it mean to be in the organization? And what is a heart? I wonder what they're thinking next to me. I haven't heard their thoughts, but I can guess. I'm guessing that they're feeling a few painful things in your chest, and at the same time, warm things. After all, those are all proper things for Keyblade heroes to feel. All those feelings in your chest are both sweet and salty, just like the flavors of this ice cream. It was my plan to gather replicas to atone, but I don't know for whom I'm atoning. It's possible that I'm doing this for myself. Back then, we felt like we could do anything. We thought we could save that girl. I don't know why we felt that way. At some point, the tears under your eyes vanished, and you made other friends and laughed alongside them. After a while, I became selfish and turned into a foolish person. Even so, no matter where we are, you were always the same. That's why we're sitting here, side by side, watching the sunset and eating sea salt ice cream. You're ultimately still a crybaby, but you don't need the marks anymore. It seemed like you didn't need me either. Yes, I thought that I didn't need you with me anymore. That's why I sacrificed myself to that man. If you didn't need me, then I no longer held meaning. However, reality is different. It wasn't about whether I was needed or not. If I could just connect to others' hearts, that would be enough. Next to me are Roxas and Xion laughing, and the Twilight Town children with them. And they're all a bit loud. Your eyes squint as you laugh along with them. Your gaze is warm and pleasant. I eat sweet and salty ice cream by your side. When we ate it at Radiant Garden, the taste was the same. I expect we'll be eating ice cream in the future, just as we have in the past. That's your specialty, crybaby. Despite everything, our eyes take in the sunset.
Hey!
Morning.
Huh?
Hello, Roxas.
Hi. And you are...
I wanted to meet you at least once.
me?
Yes, you.
Namine's story, another dream. Besides Kairi and Riku, there was one other girl I was friends with. The four of us played together all the time. That was the memory I created for Sora. I recall the scene. Restless waves, white sand, along the back of the beach. The boys are fighting with wooden sticks. I stand and walk alone to the dock. Now I sit down at the very end and gaze out at the horizon. I close my eyes, all I can hear are the waves. What you doing, Namine? A voice calls out from behind me, and I look over my shoulder. Sora was standing there. The wind feels great, doesn't it? I reply, still facing him. If this wind could carry us anywhere, where would we go? This again? I laugh. Sora and the others are making a raft right now. A raft to take them away from this world. You don't want to go back? Sora asked, sitting beside me. Go back to where? Where would I return to? The only place I ever wanted to return to was the white sand of this beach, where I could always hear the waves crashing against these cliffs. But really, the real me, I still wanted to return to this beach. Didn't I? If there are other worlds out there, I want to see them all, Sora continues. That's right, Sora had already seen all kinds of other worlds. He met so many people and had so many memories of their bonds. I know some of the pieces of those memories. Hey, aren't you guys forgetting about me? We turned at the voice to see Riku standing there. Behind him was Kairi. This was a fake memory where the four of us played together, so I guess we're the only ones working on the raft. Riku turns to look at her, and the girl, with a face that looked a bit like mine, smiles. This is a special world, a world where someone long ago set off on a journey, a treasured place in his memory. It would be so great if everyone could come back here one day, and so why couldn't they in the end? Is what I'm seeing an illusion or a dream? Is this the world I wanted or a world that someone else wanted? I don't know. The sketchbook that I used to draw in, I wonder where it ended up. I hear waves, the memory is sinking into the sound of the waves. The waves are all I can hear, eternally. Demyx's story, a tweet of substitute. Why am I in the organization? Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons, but, oh right, I wanted friends, right? Oh no. Wow, actually no, that sounded way uncool, but now I'm thinking back on it and I'm just like, yeah, I guess it kinda was like that, huh? Aside from the whole old guys club going on, it kinda seems like there were a lot of tight-knit groups in the organization. You know, like Axel and Saix, Marluxia and Larxene, Xion and Vexen, Xaldin and Luxus, and I guess in the end, I hung out with the old guy a lot. Yeah, so it's not like it's a big deal. Seriously, that's it. I hate fighting and jamming out is way more fun. Sad stuff, painful stuff, why would I want to do any of that? I mean, I guess there's the stuff you've got to do to survive, but if I can, I'd much rather live a life on easy street, you know? That's what I'm talking about. I never thought Vexen would ask me for help, and I mean, I can't say I'm a fan of, you know, doing things, but I figured it's better than sitting around on the bench like that. So just carrying stuff around, I can do that. It's Demyx time. But yeah, it's just like he was always saying, you know? The may your heart be your guiding key guy. Hey, but wait, what's it supposed to be guiding me to again? Luxord story, tumbling dice. Do you know how to win any wager? If you go into a match knowing you'll win from the get-go, then it's not a wager. If you know you'll win, then what's the point in betting? I am always considering the possibility of losing. That is what it truly means to be a gambler. Of course, when you attain that level of strength, you will never lose big. Knowing when to walk away is another important component of gambling. You cannot simply stop after one match. You must fight again and again. Only when the final play is at hand do you know the result of your bet. So you see, losing here today does not mean I've lost entirely. While one yet lives, there is always a chance of victory. And finally, the best gamblers do not gamble. There are those who would wager their lives on a bet. They bet it all on greater rewards, risking greater losses. Perhaps it is not a game to them. I would not recommend playing against an opponent like that. Although I have managed to win against such opponents before, it requires immense strategy, so I would perhaps not say that I often come out on top, particularly in recent times. You should not endeavor to turn the tables at the last second to bring about crushing defeat, but to steadily rack up smaller victories along the way. Now then, who shall I wager with today?
You're a shell. A shell who has had everything taken. Everything!
What can you possibly think I ever had? Both my body and my heart are fake. But there is one memory I'll keep, even if it's just a lie. Whether it was a phantom promise or not, I will protect Namine.
Riku Replica, a hole in my heart. I wanted to be like you. I was jealous of you. Who was I exactly? Did I even exist? I'm just a puppet with no heart whose fake memories were planted in my head. I was made. I'm artificial. I'm a fake. What do I need to become a real person? Or rather, was I a real fake? I fell into the dark and wandered the world of darkness, in a world where I couldn't see anything, couldn't hear anything, a world with nothing. I saw a faint light, but I don't remember what happened after I found that light. I then appeared in front of him, but I knew that I would just fall back into the darkness and wander again. If I said I wanted to see the light once more, would that girl smile? What did I, a mere puppet, gain from that castle where all is forgotten? Fake memories, a fake heart, wasn't it? Even so, I did believe in a single flicker of light. I can't remember the name of the girl who stayed in that white room, drawing in her sketchbook, but I fought for her in this castle. And now, well, now, who am I fighting for? What am I fighting for? But I couldn't meet up with that girl. I wonder, where did she end up? I hoped I could see her again, but I couldn't. But in place of that, I was able to see large amounts of light. I was able to see him too. Him. He's not someone who wished for me to disappear. He was a friend. I could tell he was because he made even my fake heart feel warm. I tried to disappear. I should have disappeared. Even if I were to fall to the darkness, I would still remain within them. My body would be a container for another's heart. I'm glad that the heart was that girl's heart. That means I would never be forgotten by anyone. I'm sure that someone else would take better care of it than someone who doesn't even have real memories. I will disappear, but I'll still remain. It'll be okay. I'll be the container for that girl's precious memories. I will disappear. This time, I will return back to you as a memory. I might even be able to see that girl again. I'll release my memories once, and they will become your memories. That girl was important to me. Will you treat her well for me? And so, I will finally be me. Not anyone else, just me.
Sora, you don't believe that. I know you don't.
Riku's story, my childhood friend. To tell you the truth, Sora, I was jealous of you. As I sat on the dark shore next to Sora, I wondered when I began to feel that way. Was it when Sora became a Keyblade wielder? Or was it all the way back when we were children on the islands? It wouldn't be strange for me to think I was better than Sora. After all, when you're a child, a year is a big age difference. So I played the older brother and took Sora around with me everywhere. When did that change? We defeated Xemnas, but this world was thick with darkness. No matter how many you brought down, the Heartless just kept coming and coming. About to run out of strength, I fell to my knees. Riku! Sora came to help me up. Sora, I can't. It hurt to breathe. I didn't think I could walk anymore. Don't say another word. It's not over. It's just not. Sora took my arm, lent me his shoulder, and stood us up. Sora never was one to give up when things were tough. How can you say that? Even if we could go on, look where we are. I thought that was a calm assessment of the situation, but Sora just smiled and looked straight at the path ahead. Oh, come on, Riku. You've been hanging out in darkness too long. You gotta try and think positive. Sora began to walk. I made myself limp so Sora could carry me and let my heavy legs drag behind me. I couldn't walk anymore. I didn't want to walk anymore. Sora? Sora responded, smiling at me when I called his name. Smiling at me in this dire situation, I had no choice but to follow his lead. I lifted my head and looked forward beyond the darkness, just like Sora did. You lead. Got it. I nodded at Sora, and he began to pull me along and walk forward. I wondered how long this darkness would go on. I'd walked all kinds of dark paths, but this may have been my first time on one with no visible exit. Nevertheless, Sora just continued on. You know, Sora peered at me once again in response. When I saw his face, I could tell that he was also struggling, and it made my heart ache even more. I decided to confess to Sora, something I'd never said out loud before, a kind of repentance. I always figured I was better at stuff than you. Really? But Sora didn't respond the way I expected at all. It was as if he wanted to tell me he wasn't interested in what I had to say at all. Are you mad? I impulsively asked Sora, and Sora stopped in his tracks. No, I kind of always thought you were better at everything too. Ah, that's exactly what anybody would think, isn't it? After all, I'm a little older than Sora, but I still felt some pride hearing him say as much. Then, Sora looked up and gazed straight ahead. Riku, look. What's that light? I raised my head to look. In the distance, I saw a faint, bright light. We gathered up the last of our strength and began to walk towards it. However, it wasn't an exit. It was just a light floating in the sky like a moon, faintly glowing above a dark coast. You could hear the sound of waves here, just like you could back on the islands, back home, but you couldn't hear anything else. It was enveloped in complete silence. End of the road? Yep. Sora nodded and responded quietly to my question. Put me down. I can walk, I told him, and he took my arm from his shoulder and stood up on the beach. Sora took a step toward the coast. I stared at Sora's back. I couldn't see an exit, even from behind him. I could tell Sora was pretty fatigued. You know, maybe the darkness has gotten to me too, Sora muttered. Sora might have also been coming to give up on the idea of getting out of here. As I thought that, I felt something like vertigo. Then I placed my knee in the sand and just fell straight to the ground. I couldn't move anymore. Riku! Sora rushed over and helped me up. This world is perfect for me. If this is what the world really is, just this, then maybe I should fade back into darkness. Riku? If the world is made of light and darkness, we'll be the darkness. Sora sat next to me, throwing out his legs. Yeah, the other side, the realm of light, is safe now. Kairi, the king, and the others are there. That's what I mean. Hey Sora, could you help me? I want to get down to the water. Sora gave a small nod, and then he took my arm on his shoulder again and stood up to slowly walk with me towards the coast. My legs were like sticks at this point. At least the waves sound the same, I muttered unconsciously. It might not have been so bad to face our end at a place that reminds us of home. I continued our conversation from earlier. What I said back there about thinking I was better at stuff than you? Sora responded, still staring straight out at the ocean. To tell you the truth, Sora, I was jealous of you. Sora finally turned to look at me. What for? I thought about it a bit, and then I opened my mouth. This was a confession of guilt. I fell to the darkness because I was jealous of Sora. But that wasn't Sora's fault. I was just weak. I wished I could live life the way you do, just following my heart. Yeah, Well, I've got my share of problems too, Sora responded, staring at the horizon. Like what? Asked Sora, smiling a bit. Like wanting to be like you. I see. That made me a little sad, so I responded with as cheerful a voice as I could manage. Well, there is one advantage to being me, something you could never imitate. Really? What is it? Having you for a friend. Sora was surprised for a moment. Then he exhaled a bit. Then I guess I'm okay the way I am. I've got something you could never imitate too. Sora responded with a smile, and he looked off beyond the horizon, at the moon shining faintly in the sky, at the world where we would meet our end. We both had our own things that the other couldn't do. Our hearts, each just like the other, were both filled to the brim with happy feelings at that moment. I was glad to have been Sora's friend. Light. My eyes instinctively narrowed at the sight of the bright sun-like light that appeared right before us. The door to light. We'll go together. Sora stood up and offered his hand to me. Yeah, I responded, and began to walk with Sora. Roxas' story, I remember you. There are only 7 days left before my summer vacation ends. For this vacation, how about the three of us go to the beach? I remember saying that. The three of us. Who was that? I forgot everything. When I stood in front of Sora, it came back to mind. I thought I recalled everything, but the truth is, something important was missing. At that time, there were a lot of things I didn't know about. Axel even explained to me what a summer vacation was. It was my first time hearing about it since I joined the organization. There are vacations in the organization too. I thought it was weird. Since it was so sudden, I didn't know what to do, so I went to the clock tower to eat ice cream. Axel was there too. The two of us saw Hainer and the others playing, though I didn't know their names at the time. The kids from the city are on summer vacation. No, it's still early. Summer vacation? What's that? A dream come true. That's what. A whole month off. This is what Axel told me, from a memory of his time being as a human. But I didn't have any of those. I felt odd and uneasy. Most kids spend summer vacation just goofing off with their friends. I hadn't really thought about it much since becoming a nobody. I wonder if Axel had friends when he was a human. I only had Axel as a friend. That's what I thought. But then I remembered. I wanted to run away from the organization. Your mind's made up? Even Axel's question made me stop. I couldn't trust him either after all. Why did the Keyblade choose me? I have to know. You can't turn on the organization. You get on their bad side and they'll destroy you. I finally stopped in my tracks when Axel started shouting. No one would miss me. After stating that, I walked away, though I didn't have any destination in mind. I didn't know where would be best, so my steps led me to the usual clock tower. And when I arrived there, a girl whom I'd forgotten was here, Xion. Roxas, this is Sora. The girl under the hood wasn't Xion. Her face changed to someone's I didn't recognize, and it was the boy I wanted to meet. You're next, Roxas. Don't you see? This is why I was created. Once she shed her coat, Xion became a puppet. I didn't want to fight with Xion, but she charged at me. Please, Roxas, destroy me. While I was fighting, I lost sense of everything. Who was I fighting? Little by little, I forgot important things. Then I realized that in front of me, there was a black-haired girl I didn't recognize, who collapsed. Who are you again? It seems like I'm forgetting something really important. The girl's eyes were slowly closing. You'll be better off now, Roxas. I held the girl's body in my arms. Am I the one who did this to you? No. It was my choice, to go away now. Better that than to do nothing and let Xemnas have his way. She placed her hand on mine. Goodbye, Roxas. See you again. Her lips pulled in a small smile. I'm glad I got to meet you. Oh, and of course, Axel too. You're both my best friends. Never forget. That's the truth. At that moment, it dawned on me. It was Xion. No, Xion. Who else will I have ice cream with? But Xion was disappearing. Xion. I was left with a single Thalassa seashell. I don't know how to pronounce that. After that, to bring Xion back, I fought with Riku, but I lost all my memories and I was put in Twilight Town. Then, I was standing in front of Sora and I thought I recalled everything. But it wasn't the case. Now I remember everything. I remember you, Xion. Larxene story called Wise Up Girl, which is a very interesting title. Let's get right into it. My true goal is to keep all this hidden away to the very end. What? Too many secrets for you? Can you blame me? It's not like I had a heart. They're always going on about hearts, but truth is, it doesn't really matter to me. But well, by nature, hearts are ambiguous, so researching them in the first place is already questionable at best. I really don't get why they even bother. Wearing those white coats and blabbering on about this and that, it makes me sick, and I can't stand people who look down on others. And I can't say I'm thrilled by the one who's always hiding one eye. I mean, they say eyes are the windows to the soul, and then there's the macho one. I hate beefcakes too. And then beards, they give me the creep. Speaking of beards, I don't like tricksters. Or that guy who never says much but is always whirling his lances around, and I hate the one who just plays his stupid instrument all the time. Huh? I've just been talking about things I hate, but don't love and hate come from the same place? It's not like that would be interesting to talk about. Well, I guess it could be. Things I love, what can I say I like? Oh, that's right, I don't like anything. Everything sucks. Okay. So if I say I hate something, I don't want anyone getting the wrong idea that I have any special feelings about it or anything like that. And I always do things for my own sake. So I have no interest in being used by anyone. It was so much better when I had no heart, when I didn't have to worry about things like liking someone. Oh? Becoming fond of something is painful. That's why those feelings were taken advantage of. For example, wouldn't it suck to not be able to have your favorite ice cream anymore? It would be better if you'd never liked it at all, right? There's nothing I hate more than losing and being deceived and not knowing things. I really hate being a human again. If I'd known this would happen, I'd have never gone along with them. I can't even use the excuse of having no heart anymore. What excuse am I going to give now? That's a secret I haven't even settled on yet. Why should I have to tell anyone anything about what's in my heart? The really precious thoughts are tucked away deep inside me, but it's not like I'll forget them or anything. Once my heart came back, what was precious to my heart returned to me as well. But I don't love or hate those things. I won't tell anyone about them after all. I hate loose-lipped people. So it's a precious little secret just for me. My little secret. Marluxia's story, Ephemeral Flower. Who am I, and why do I exist in this world? I knew the reason. Before I had even forgotten my own name, I was anxious. I was exactly the same as Roxas when he first came to the organization, but I had power. So of course, how ironic that I would be entrusted with the castle that rules over memory. When I lost my body and became a nobody, I understood that I had lost my memory, and so I helped with researching memories in the hope that I would regain my own. Memories are governed by the heart, but the heart is made of memories. A heart with no memories is already an empty shell. If you rearrange a chain of memories, you can manipulate someone in any way you wanted. I, with no memories, became Lord of Castle Oblivion. I wonder if someone planned that, but who? Well, at this point, I suppose it doesn't matter. I could never abide by Xemnas' order. I never understood why. The whole time I pretended to obey him. I was always thinking of betrayal. Perhaps that was a small piece of my heart that still lingered. Perhaps my heart was my guiding key. I still don't understand. It wasn't until much later that I realized how special that castle was. Castle Oblivion was a sealed land, the place where a Keyblade hero slept, where he slept. Drown in the heart-torn world of nothingness. I shall scatter your heart to the empty winds. That's why I said to the Keyblade hero, even with his manipulated memories, he still opposed me. You fools, you can never understand our agony. I awoke as that man's vessel after the hero defeated me the first time and met the Keyblade hero once more. However, I was defeated again, and the next time I awoke, I was no longer a nobody. Oh, so now it all comes back to me. I laughed in self-derision. Hey, is that a real laugh? Yes, my heart is remembering how to feel. I answered his question, pressing a hand to my chest. Really? That's good. And now I am on the cusp of reclaiming my identity, my purpose for being. Thank you, Sora. And then my heart and memories had returned. How long had it been since Larxene said that hearts were nothing but an inconvenience? Because now my heart is filled with nothing but dark emotions. Sorrow, pain, hatred. No, not only those. There are even things like love in this resurrected heart. But humans, or rather I, having become human, know love and therefore also know hatred. Darkness and light are never far apart. If there were someone who could see everything in this world, maybe this was even the future they would have predicted. But I could never accept a future like that. I didn't accept a future like that. Maybe that's why I became a nobody. Or maybe not. Now what? What should I be doing from here? Where am I supposed to go now that I'm human? Or maybe that and my future has already been decided for me and I just don't know it. As ever, I don't understand anything. The one thing I know is the name of a small flower, a heart that turns away from the truth. My own heart was bound by a chain of memories, and maybe I was the one who threw away its freedom. And thus, I was the one who lost by finding, who found by losing. But what? My memories? Or something else entirely? I don't even know that, but maybe it's fine if I don't. I finally have them in my grasp, my memories, along with these dark feelings. I myself drowned in that ever-blooming darkness, devoured by lightless oblivion. But I'm done with that. Wherever you are. Thinking of you wherever you are. It was the time I had forgotten about you that I started writing. I wrote the letter that began that, way back when I had forgotten you. Well, I don't know if forgotten is quite the right thing to call it, but you disappeared from within me, from within everybody. Do you remember the boys who used to hang out with us? I asked Selphie, who tilted her head and responded with Riku's name. I didn't remember you, but you were still there, somewhere, within me. I placed a letter in a small bottle. What's that? Selphie asked as I threw the bottle into the ocean. A letter. I wrote it yesterday, to the boy I can't remember. I said that no matter where he is, I'll find him. One day, and when I stopped writing, I remembered we made a promise. Something important. This letter is where it starts. I know it. I answered, and I stared out where the bottle was floating between the waves. That's when I remembered your name. Starts with the S, right, Sora? Some time had passed since then, but I continued to write the letter that would never reach you, Sora. Then I was on the hill of the secret forest, where you could see the twilight sky, and Lee, Axel, was sitting next to me. You were in the middle of a long journey again, and I was training to fight with you, perhaps dazzled by the sight of the setting sun. Axel's eyes seemed a little wet. A letter? Yep, I said, and nodded at Axel. I was writing letters daily. To Sora? Technically yes, but I won't send it. It's more for me. I remembered that letter I sent you back when I had forgotten you. I didn't want to forget you again, and the feeling I got when you became a Heartless, I never, ever wanted to feel that way again. This time, I'll protect you. I hugged you, who had become a Heartless, close to me. Other Heartless gathered all around us to attack, but then there was a light. The Heartless disappeared with it, and you came back. Kairi! Thank you, you said. Oh, then we ran off together, right? And then we made a promise. I'm always with you too. I'll come back to you. I promise. I know you will. But after we made that promise, we all forgot about you for a while. All this time, I've believed that I needed to help you this time. It's been nothing but you saving me, so I can't just sit here waiting for you. When we were young, we drew on the walls of the secret place, didn't we? You drew me, and I drew you. After you disappeared, I took a look at that drawing again. I learned you'd added doodles of you bringing a Paopu to my mouth. If two people share one, their destinies become intertwined. They will remain a part of each other's lives, no matter what. I remembered a lot of things as we sat together on the Paopu tree on Destiny Islands and watched the sunset. Hey, why is Riku all alone? He said he needed time to himself. Let's let him be, I told Sora, who worried about Riku as he was off standing on the beach. I took the Paopu fruit in my hand and presented it in front of Sora's mouth. Here. Huh? Sora stared at me, startled. I handed him the other Paopu fruit that I had brought with me. Tomorrow's fight will be our toughest yet. I want to be a part of your life no matter what. That's all. Sora's face suddenly turned serious, and he took the Paopu fruit in my hand. Kairi, I'll keep you safe. Let me keep you safe. We ate the Paopu fruit together. This was a good luck charm, and a promise. Sora, you've protected me, but I wonder if I was able to protect you. So Sora, please don't give up. Please don't disappear. After all, Sora, you're everybody's hope. It's a promise.
After all, we're friends now. get it memorized. Okay, Lee.
What is it with you and picking up stray puppies?
I want everybody I meet to remember me. Inside people's memories, I can live forever.
I know I won't forget you. Believe me, I try all the time.
See? I'm immortal.
You're obnoxious.
You ready?
Well, I can tell you are.
Yeah.
Axel's story, I will not forget you. My precious existence is surrounded by memories that have been burnt into my heart, as well as important memories that guide me. The more precious the memory is, the further it regresses into your heart, making it hard to remember. You know? Is this yours? I picked up a strange sword made out of wood. If I knew what I know now, I think that sword might have been a keyblade, but the me in the past didn't know any better. I didn't know at all. Lee, we don't have much time. Iza stood next to me as he hurriedly spoke to me. I know, Iza. I'll be right there. You really were someone who didn't have time for games. You still playing with toy swords? What are you, a child? As I gave the sword back to the blonde boy, I also brought out my disc. These are what I work with. Look at them. They're awesome, right? My favorite red disc. Yours? I have a name, you know. It's Lee. He was about to say something when I bent forward and pointed a finger to my forehead and said, "Got it memorized? What's your name?" Ventus. Alright, then let's fight, Ventus. That was when we first met. I guess I sorta lost then, but when I think about it now, there's no way I would have won against a Keyblade wielder. I feel like we'll meet again someday. We're friends now, gotta memorize. And so we went our separate ways. Iza looked at me with an annoyed expression. Why do you always go around picking up stray puppies left and right? I want to leave an impression with a lot of different people. I can live forever if I remain in their memories. Iza then laughed at me bitterly. Well, at the very least, I'm sure you'll always be in my memories, whether I want you to or not. During that time, we had no ideas that memories could be erased. Memories are not always clear, and they can even be replaced with something else. I haven't seen Ventus since. The sunset today is burning red again. We finished our training and watched the sunset from the top of the hill near the secret forest. Do you know why the sunset is so red? Light is comprised of a variety of different colors, and within that spectrum, the red color permeates the furthest. And how come you're so versed in this all of a sudden? I remember speaking with Roxas about this on the 255th day we sat on top of the clock tower. Although I know I should have had more precious memories of that time, I couldn't remember them. I know there's something that I was supposed to remember, but for some reason, I just could not remember it. The sunset burns my eyes. I've become a bit of a crybaby lately. I wonder if it's because my upturned teardrop mark was gone. Axel? I turned around the voice that called out to me. Kairi was standing there wearing new clothes. Oh, you cut your hair. Yeah, are you not going to change your clothes? Yeah, maybe not now, I answered and looked back at the sunset. But you've only been wearing that, right? That's right. I've been wearing this black coat for ages now. But this leaves a strong impression, you know? People might do a double take if I don't wear something familiar, right? Well, that's thoughtful. Nah, that's not the point, but Kairi's words made me a bit flustered. Kairi then sat next to me and we watched the sunset together. Our training's almost complete, right? Yeah, I know that Namine resides within me, but if we can bring Roxas back, we can bring her back too. I guess that's what will happen. We talked a bit more about different things after that. I even told her about Ventus, who I never told anyone else about. I was always afraid that if I talked about Ventus to anyone else, that I would never meet him again. That's why I never spoke about him to anyone. I've got it memorized, Kairi joked as she tried to mimic me. I laughed at her. We're going to have to meet up with everyone again, and I'm a bit nervous. You won't have to carry everything alone anymore, Axel. The sun started to set, just like that time before. Cultivating darkness. I still have a vague awareness of somewhere. I don't understand it, but after I was defeated at Castle Oblivion, I lingered somewhere. I had intended to control the darkness, but I think I was the one controlled. I conceded defeat after I fought with Riku and I was extinguished. Perhaps even more than wanting my heart, I was allured by the darkness. Unlike Evan and Dilan, who were still unstable, after I awoke, I was fully conscious and had time to think clearly. And I keep thinking about it even now, although it's still hazy. What was that darkness? I feel like I still want the power that Riku had for myself. I had intended to take control of it, but instead I was defeated and erased. In the end, Riku used the darkness I urged him to command, so he did not fall into our grasp. If I'd had that strength for myself, maybe none of this would have happened. This world is beautiful and tranquil. It is this world that I wish for, but there may have been tranquility in the darkness too. Even now I am seized by these thoughts. Perhaps I am not qualified to be an apprentice. Let's move on to Dilan's story, which is called Blooming Rose Alden. People love this garden, where water, the source of all life, springs forth, and fragrant flowers bloom all over. Tending to those flowers was part of our daily routine as guards. Gazing at the flowers, I remember the red rose I tried to take during my time as a nobody. That rose was a symbol of love, but it was also cursed. After all, love is but a curse. Okay? At the time, I thought its power was trivial. Someone once asked me about love. This was before the rose. That rose was cursed, and thus so too was the beast. And at the time, so was I. In a way, and I suspect that is why I was extinguished. Thoughts of Kingdom Hearts kept my heart lingering in a purgatory until it finally moved on to erasure. In short, a curse, and thus are strong, overbearing feelings like love, also a curse. A fragrant flower in my boorish hands. By nature, these hands know only the weight of a lance, but a flower is blooming in them all the same. I will not put it in a glass case. This flower will bloom right where it is. Why didn't we choose to leave things as they were? All I can do now is regret having gone too far. Now, for love, we'll leave things be. Ansem the Wise's story, a peculiar Ansem report. My efforts these many years have come to fruition, with the world I govern having become a paradise worthy of being called Radiant Garden. How long has it been since I first penned that report? It was such a long time ago, yet it feels like it was only yesterday. And now I find myself back in Radiant Garden, researching alongside my apprentices once again. I would never have thought this future possible. I long thought that everything happened due to my own error, but I now see that that was only my pride speaking. I came to despise my own apprentices. Because of that, I took on the name Darkness and Zero, and swore an oath of revenge upon them. I had no intention of letting my heart be consumed by the darkness gnawing away at it, but perhaps even that arrogance belonged to the darkness. Now I live out my days peacefully. However, I know that people, that entire worlds, can easily be swallowed by darkness. I now understand that darkness can lurk anywhere. Anyone could succumb to it. However, even in the deepest darkness, one cannot lose sight of that radiant light. Yes, just the same as this most radiant of gardens returned to its own former glory. I don't know if the world can yet forgive a fool such as myself, but I will use what remains of my life for atonement. Nothing more, nothing less. Next up, we have Ienzo's story, Memories of Childhood. How many memories remain from my childhood? I wonder. When I think about hearts and memories, my thoughts always wander there. My memories from when I was very young are terribly vague. Ienzo, where are you? Answer me. I remember well. Evan searching for me with his slightly shrill voice. Ansem the Wise was busy, so often it was Evan who looked after me. I would get scolded for going on walks by myself all the time, but I think that came from a place of love. When it came to my studies, I would also be severely reprimanded any time I made simple mistakes in my calculations. At those times, it was Ansem who was kind to me. He would often buy me sea salt ice cream. That sweet yet salty ice cream was Ansem's favorite, so I too would end up eating it quite often. That reminds me, I have a feeling Evan would often get angry with Ansem for that. He would say Ansem was spoiling me too much. Thinking back on it, he may have just been using me as an excuse to have ice cream. Even now, the memories of my time in those radiant gardens are vividly clear. For this reason, my betrayal could never be excused, but that was a lie. Now, for the sole purpose of atonement, I live on. We have Vexen's story, Flowers for Intelligence. What do you think it means to be truly wise? By continuing to make these dolls, I had hoped I would come to comprehend the heart. I did, or rather, I should say, I understood the things that I would never be able to comprehend about hearts. Moreover, I continued to contemplate what it means to be wise. One cannot consider intelligence a separate matter from the heart. For example, say you implanted a brain of advanced intellect in a wild animal. After its intelligence increased, would that animal feel the same things that it felt before, or would those feelings differ as one might expect? If intelligence does indeed change the way one feels about the world, then would it not follow that the heart and the mind are intimately related? Increasingly, these are the conclusions I arrive at. We were able to put hearts in our replicas if we wanted to. We could also elevate their intellectual faculties by any amount. However, my presumption is that being wise is something different entirely. Or rather, I should say, that is something I only came to understand once I saw the Keyblade hero for myself. Or maybe this is still just another attempt of mine to understand it. Sometimes the Keyblade hero takes seemingly foolish actions, but is that foolishness truly at odds with wisdom? I did not think it likely. In terms of sheer results, those foolish actions may in fact have led to the most ideal outcome. If that is the case, then I have started to think that perhaps being wise is a deceitful concept, and it is the fools who are truly the wise among us. When it comes down to it, I cannot understand wiseness for the same reasons that I cannot understand hearts. It may be something that cannot be reduced to numbers and charts. This is the conclusion I have derived as a scientist. Setting that aside, of the original 13, I have chosen to be the most foolish of all. In practice, I suppose I was not the one who made that choice, but I agreed to it, so there is no functional difference. I arrived at my conclusion that the most foolish person of all is actually the wisest, thanks to the Keyblade hero. If I told the person himself my hypothesis, I'm sure he and his friends would be angry, but it would be simply the truth. Unfortunately, I was wrong all along. The wisdom I thought I had cultivated was at best idiocy. I thought I was trying to be wise so I could be useful to someone, but I lost sight of that goal somewhere along the way. Before I knew it, all I had chased after was intelligence. My scientific findings were all I cared about. I can only say that I was clearly just foolish. Thus, given my theory, I could be considered the most foolish of all. But no, the most foolish of people wrap all the way around to become the wisest, and I could only dream of being so wise. And now, thanks to the one who appears to be little more than a dunce, the wise man's plans will fall to ruin. For that purpose, I, right now, live on. That is my atonement. Men like us, in the pursuit of science, we sometimes make terrible mistakes, lose sight of our mission to help people, but now I can help someone with my research. Now I can atone. Yes, Demyx time, the fool exclaimed. There is no one more important than him. This is perfectly suited for him after all. Yes, that is the marker of a wise person. Be honest about yourself and don't lose sight of who you are. I cannot afford to dwell on the past. Even now, I don't mind warming the bench as long as my will is there. All his clever plans will be no match for the fool in front of me. I'm sure of it. I pray that our plan to outwit the wise man actually works. It's all for forgiveness. So I present to you Aqua's story, A Piece of Cake. When I was in the darkness, I think back to those peaceful days of training, when we were protected by our master. I was calm and content during the time spent training alone with Terra, but I feel Ven's arrival added a different kind of warmth. Ven held his wooden sword in his left hand. Yes, that's the defense stance. There's no offense without a good defense. The master was giving Ven lessons as Terra and I faced off nearby, hearing without listening. The sound of clashing wooden swords, breaths getting ragged, pattering sweat, the master's voice. Master, how about we take a break? I directed this at everyone with a smile. That day, I baked. Oh yes, a preserved strawberry tart, the master's favorite. Ven, come help me get the tea ready. Back then, it hadn't been long since Ven had woken up, and it seemed like he wasn't entirely there. He didn't reply when spoken to, and he never smiled. He could follow instructions, and it was obvious he had held a sword before. He didn't wake up properly until a practice match with Terra. You're trying too hard to move your body. You need to learn to let your body move you. right? Terra raised his wooden sword. Of all the imitation keyblades he had made, this was the best by far. He even carved his name into it. He stood up and cleared his throat. In your hand, take this blade, and so long as you have the makings and through the simple act of taking its wielder, you shall one day be made. He raised the keyblade, mimicking the rite of succession. Being a master is all I've dreamed about. Well, you're not the only one, I corrected. It was our dream, our goal. Terra knelt in front of Ven, holding out the wooden keyblade. I know, you, me, and Ven all share the same dream. Here, Ven, this is for you. Ven reached out silently and gripped the wooden keyblade. It seemed as though he was smiling faintly, the first time I'd ever seen it. Huh? Then what are you going to use, Terra? I'll take the one Ven was using for now, then I'll make a new one. Terra took the wooden sword Ven had been using, and ruffled his blonde hair with the other hand. Isn't that nice, Ven? Those were Ven's first words. Oh, that's nice. Ven. Terra and I cried out in near unison. What's with you two? Ven looked back and forth between us, puzzled. I pulled him into a hug automatically. Terra continued to ruffle his hair from beside us. Stop it, Terra, Aqua, come on already. I'm not a baby, okay? We looked at each other and burst out laughing. It drew an embarrassed laugh out of Ven. It was the first time the three of us had ever laughed together. And then, after a long journey, we returned home. I understand now that this land and Master Ericus protected us. The Master was always with us. I wonder, can we ever return to those peaceful days? Yes, I'm sure we can, if we create them. Terra, Ven, let's have some tea, I call out. Just like me, they've completed long journeys. We've come home together. Terra? A silver of worry creeps in. Terra hasn't said anything, but then he turns to me. I'd like some cake, he says, so long as it's not sweet. That's right, I'd like to bake something. I haven't done that in a long time. Galactic caramel pound cake then. I haven't made that in ages. That sounds kinda good. I want to preserve strawberry tarts, says Ven. The master loved that one and Terra didn't. I say with a smile. We've lost our master, but we aren't alone. The three of us will go stargazing again. We'll look for shooting stars. We'll never be apart again. Terra's story, dark and void. It was darkness, just darkness. Well, no, not even darkness. If Aqua sank into the realm of darkness, then where had I been? Did I even exist? I'm sure I know I existed, but I have no idea where I was. I was imprisoned behind Xehanort, but my consciousness, my heart, was sealed away. So where was my heart? It wasn't in darkness, so maybe it was just in a world of nothingness. A world without darkness or light. You can't have light without darkness, and you can't have darkness without light. It was somewhere like that. I wasn't asleep like Ven was. It wasn't the realm of sleep. I wasn't dreaming. I was just in a world of nothingness, and that void became pain and sorrow and anger that rushed over me. All I could do was ripen its grasp. Maybe that place was like the world where Unverse came from, a void that only takes in grief and suffering, a world where hope and joy could never exist. The void was like the darkness, but also not. Nothing could spring forth from there, and all I could do in that world is wait. I can no longer remember what I thought, what I did. In that world, I just waited. No, that's not quite right. I believed in our promise. Even now, I still think about it. About whether the power of darkness is really so detestable. I mean, right before my eyes is that boy I entrusted the Keyblade to, all grown up, and he controls the darkness while still being part of the light. So why wasn't I able to? And then, there was the heart that nestled close to mine. There, it continued to quietly encourage me. If he hadn't been there, I wouldn't be here now, standing in front of his grave. Master, did you forgive me? Or maybe I haven't been forgiven yet and I'm only still here so I can atone. I know there are no answers to my questions and no one has to forgive me for my sins. Even entertaining the thought of being forgiven is so presumptuous of me, a weakness. Terra, Ven, let's have tea. Aqua smiled brightly and Ven turned to look at me. Those two have probably forgiven me, but I still can't forgive myself. Terra? Aqua peered up at me, looking slightly anxious. I was careful not to sigh, but exhaled softly, and then I smiled. You know, I wouldn't mind cake if it's not too sweet. It has been a while since I made a galactic caramel pound cake. I want strawberry jam tarts, Ben grinned up at Aqua. Those were the Master's favorite, although Terra never liked them much. Aqua laughed softly and then her face fell slightly. From now on, we'll always carry the burden of grieving for our Master. But we're not alone. The three of us can look up at the night sky once more. We can look for falling stars, and from now on, we'll always be together. Ventus' story, Fragments of the World. I really didn't remember anything. A part of me has always been missing. It's because of what Xehanort did to me. That missing half is Vanitas. I already know that. I think a bunch of memories came back to me at that time, but they feel like they belong to somebody else. I'm not sure what to make of it. I have memories from before I woke up in front of Aqua and Terra, but they're hazy. Aqua and Terra meant everything to me. I wanted to fight for their sakes, but in the end, I fell asleep, and the two of them fought for me instead. When I finally woke up, I felt like there was a lot I never understood. Maybe I still don't really understand, but I do know that Aqua and Terra are by my side, and that they're protecting me, and that because of this, I want to protect them too. At this point, I'm used to not understanding things. Frankly, I don't even know what I don't know. I can't shake the feeling that I'm still missing something. But then again, maybe it's just that I'm not understanding things and I'm actually not missing anything at all. But even that seems like it's beyond me. Just put an end to me. They didn't do it in the end. They couldn't. That's why I'm standing here now. When the Keyblade was formed, I thought I'd fade away with Vanitas. I still don't think that would have been wrong. Maybe the Master knew more about the real me than he ever let on. All the things I don't know about myself, but now he's gone, so I guess we'll never know. Really? Okay, anyways, I'm gonna continue reading. Terra, Ven, let's have some tea, Aqua says with a smile. Her saying that here, at the land of departure, feels like being back in time. She'd bake cakes. The Master would eat them happily. Terra would grimace at the sweet ones, and I'd eat myself full because anything Aqua made was delicious and made me happy. We can't go back to those days. We have to keep moving forward. I turned to find Terra giving a pained smile, just like he used to. I'd like some cake, he says, so long as it's not sweet. Aqua beams at him. Galactic caramel pound cake, then I haven't made that in forever. She's so strong, smiling like the old days. I want a preserved strawberry tart, I say. It's something our Master liked. The Master loved that one and Terra didn't, Aqua says with a little smile. Her expression turns slightly sad. In our hearts we carry sadness over our Master, and I know it won't fade for a long time. Whatever is missing from me most likely won't fill in for a long time yet either. But I'm not alone now. I don't want to be alone anymore. The three of us will go stargazing again. We'll look for shooting stars. We'll never be apart again. Vanitas' story vanished into the blue.
Empty creature from Ventus riven, to you the name Vanitas shall be given. Who am I to you? What do you think I am? You can only exist as light because I am our darkness, right? I am both you and not you at the same time. I bet you never even imagined you had darkness inside you, huh? But darkness isn't everything. Look, it's there right by your feet, isn't it? Your shadow. The stronger the light, the deeper the shadow it casts. And that shadow will pull the rug right out from under your feet. As soon as I was split from you, I stood alone in the Badlands, so close to the Keyblade graveyard. The Badlands are marked with the faint traces of battle. I've known ever since the moment we were split why I came to exist. I am a dark fragment of a heart, a vessel for negative emotions. In the tearing winds of the Badlands, I clenched my fist and closed my eyes against a painful emotion. As I did, a black shadow began to rise from behind me. I looked up at it, and red eyes shone from the shadow as it formed into a monster. I reached out to the monster, and it wound around me like a playful kitten. The monster, the Unversed, was new to existence, just like me. I swung my Keyblade down on it. The Unversed vanished without even a cry. The Unversed, the name means one not versed in life. Does it really? I don't care whether it means anything at all. The monsters are both me and not me at the same time. Hey, Just like the two of us, right? I don't care which of us is the real body. I wonder how many negative emotions there are in the world. If you think there's only rage and hatred, you're wrong. There's sadness, loneliness, anxiety, envy. They are, however, all bait for hatred. Feel the hate. Feel the rage. Of course, I should hate my existence. You've hated yourself too, haven't you? I hated you, Ventus. I tried to merge with you, and for a moment I faded away. Did I really hate you? Or is that hatred really directed at myself? It doesn't matter anymore. Now I'm back in this world, despite having faded away once before. Someone is using me again. Just like Xehanort wasn't satisfied just bringing me into existence. I hate Xehanort. I hate Ventus. I hate all of you. I hate the entire world, and I want to fade away again. That's the way of life I have chosen. You see, I didn't ask for this, to be sifted apart nice and neat. We should be free to choose, not just light, not just darkness. We decide what we are, and that's exactly what I did. I came from emptiness, and I will return to emptiness. What is emptiness? It's neither darkness nor light. It's something in an even deeper abyss. Good night, Ventus.
Terra Xehanort story, Golden Eyes.
Kingdom Hearts hovered in the sky. This was the Badlands, not far from the Keyblade graveyard. Terra readied his Keyblade against Master Xehanort. His breaths were ragged, and impatience showed in his expression. Admirably done. I knew this was a journey you could make, over the unseen wall that divides darkness and light. And I was not wrong, Terra. From the beginning, Master Xehanort had held but one goal, to discard his aged body and take Terra's as his new vessel. At the Mark of Mastery exam, he had once said to Terra, "Yes, you are indeed strong. The darkness is nothing to fear." He was merely planting a seed. Even so, that seed was now taking root. Terra rushed at Master Xehanort, Keyblade in hand. Vanitas moved to block his way, their Keyblades clashing together. You see how powerless you are to save them? Savor that rage and despair. Let it empower you, Master Xehanort boomed. He was even smiling. Yes, almost there. Just a little longer. It was happening. Let your whole heart blacken with anger. Master Xehanort pushed his Keyblade into his own chest, and light began to pour out. At last, our moment is here. Out with the old and brittle vessel, and in with a younger, stronger, new one. I swore I would survive, and be there to see what awaited beyond the Keyblade War. And now it is your darkness that shall be the arc that sustains me. Terra fell to his knees, summoning his armor, perhaps in an attempt to protect himself. But it was too late. The armor crumbled to the ground, and the body within looked up. His hair was dyed silver, his eyes glittering gold. That was the moment that Master Xehanort took Terra's body under his control. This heart belongs again to darkness. All worlds begin in darkness, and also end. The heart is no different. Darkness sprouts within it. It grows, consumes it. Such is its nature. In the end, every heart returns to the darkness whence it came. Terra Xehanort started walking, only to find himself caged in by a barrier. He turned to find a suit of armor, whose owner should have been long gone, standing tall and wielding a Keyblade. "What?" Terra Xehanort yelled. "Your body submits, your heart succumbs. So why does your mind resist?" The armor, the lingering will, put up a fierce resistance, and an intense battle began. Finally, the lingering will slew Terra Xehanort. In that instant, a torrent of light and darkness exploded out, engulfing them both. When it faded, that armor was the only thing that remained in the Badlands. And so, Terra Xehanort stood alone in Radiant Garden. Who am I? Terra? The one calling out to him was Aqua. Ironically, it was her voice that awakened Xehanort. Terra's heart has been extinguished, smothered by the darkness within him. Terra Xehanort's golden eyes glittered.
Dark D. This is going to be a long one. Maleficent conquered this world not that long ago. The seeds that she had scattered 16 years ago bore fruit. This world was enchanted dominion, and a curse was placed upon it when Aurora was born. Upon the sun setting on the day of her 16th birthday, she shall die by pricking her finger on a spinning wheel spindle. The curse was successfully fulfilled, and the people of the castle fell asleep, and even the prince who had come to break the curse was in Maleficent's grasp. Outside of those fairies, she didn't have any enemies left. Maleficent listens to the words of an old man within the confines of a room that no one enters and which is in the innermost section of the castle that is now covered in thorns. Darkness is responsive to the presence of darkness. Like yourself, I had no concerns with allies or foes. There is no need for any other decision besides that of devoting oneself to the darkness. If our interests align, then we can work together. If not, then we will simply be adversaries. Maleficent contemplates these words. Maleficent had a vague sense that the world expanded farther than here, than this place. This world is small. There are some doubts that she has of making not only this world, but all worlds her own. But if there is a way to do so, then there is no reason not to take it. If I gather the 7 princesses of light, then the world will be mine. Of course, this old man has his own goals. After stepping into his trap of charming words, there were bound to be plenty of ways of stepping out of it. Those who believe in such things as the power of love should drown in the power of evil and fall into darkness. At the same time, that old man visited. There was an indication that an outsider had visited this world. Maleficent senses they came from the outside world, just like that old man did. At this moment, Maleficent doesn't know that she will have a long association with them. Time passed, and Maleficent now stands next to a lone boy. The name of this town is Traverse Town. It's a small town that exists in the space between worlds. Lights flicker on in the dim town, and people go about living, so long as humans are living. Then they appear to hold on to some hope. However, the boy beside her was different. Maleficent chuckles to herself. It's likely that jealousy currently has a hold on the boy's heart. The boy was staring into the bright room, at the sight of his former friend talking with the new companions he made. Look, it is just as I told you, is it not? The boy just continued staring intensely through the brightly lit window. You had been desperately searching for that boy, and yet he just up and found new companions. You see, that boy values his new friends far more than he values you. The boy's name is Riku. He is a boy that Maleficent is currently keeping her eyes on. He has the power to influence this world, and if her judgment is right, then his heart harbors darkness. If she were to sway his heart just slightly, then it will fall to darkness. Maleficent faces Riku, places her hand on his shoulder, and softly says, "But dear, you have nothing to fear. Forget that boy and come with me. I can help you find what you're looking for." Riku shakes her hand off, turns his back on the window, and starts walking away. Yes, that's right. This is good, and thus you grow and mature, together with the power of darkness. "Oh yeah, give me that power, the power to control the Heartless," said Riku, who was aboard Hook's pirate ship and had found Kairi. He had easily believed the lie that if the 7 princesses were to be gathered, then a way to return Kairi's heart could be found, though it appeared that he was also annoyed at his former best friend for not having tried to find Kairi. The darkness is nestling inside Riku's body, inside his heart. It was just as she had predicted. Riku was falling into the darkness, and it had been as easy as twisting the arm of a baby. But it is with that same arm that she disappears at one time from this world. If you rely too much on the power of darkness, then your heart will end up consumed by it. In an incredible twist of fate, it was none other than those words that she had repeatedly told him that led to her being stabbed in the chest by by the Keyblade in Riku's hands. Evil must not be consumed by darkness. If you are consumed by the darkness in your heart, then you become a heartless and lose your heart. But Maleficent herself had failed at this. However, she then recalls, this abandoning the physical body is the very thing that I needed. In order to travel through time, all of the conditions must be met. Did perhaps that man know all this? Even that, I would lose my physical form in such a way. It was in the past data that she landed. Since it is this world, Sora and his companions cannot meddle. They cannot get in my way after all. That old man was no longer an ally of theirs. I must act for myself and myself alone. Is this what he wants me to do? And so, Maleficent returns to this world again from the memories of the fairies. Maleficent thinks of how memories are such a mysterious thing. She fully understands the reason why those people are so adamant about memories. How can I make it so that everything goes my way? If it is not only data, but memories as well that can be spun, then should it not be easier to conquer this world? Sora, your majesty, you owe me a great deal. Maleficent comes to the aid of Sora and his companions, and then gazes up at the empty space. Everything started when she met that old man, and yet there was nothing more boring than that old man's plan. Within the data, or perhaps within sleep, I act only for myself. You won't hear a word of thanks from me. My debt has been repaid. She had no intention of joining up with them, but they could be helpful at times, nothing more. Without wavering, Maleficent will continue moving forward in order to rule this world. Now she seeks the black box. So long as she has that box, then she will obtain everything. The mark on that box is, love is fragile, light and darkness are uncertain, and evil is rampant. I am the ruler of all evil. I cannot be consumed by darkness. Evil is deeper than darkness. Light does not reach it, and it continues to rule this society.